What are you staring at? You couldn't even get pregnant before, and now that you are, you think you're royalty? You take forever just to pour a glass of water. We feed you for nothing. Mom, heavily pregnant, poured Grandpa some water, but he smacked the cup to the floor. The sharp crash filled me with anger. I thought Dad would finally explode, but the fire in his eyes flared for only a second before going out. Mom, pack your things. This afternoon, I'm taking you to divorce my father. Chen Feng, you ungrateful son. What kind of nonsense is that? Mom, go pack. You have 30 minutes. Grandpa, I'll beat some respect into you, you ungrateful brat. Grandma, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind? You know what your father is like. Just give in a little and let it pass. I've given in my whole life. When he hit me as a child, you said it was for my own good. When he insulted me as an adult, you said he was harsh but caring. When I married Lin Wan and he bullied her, you said all fathers-in-law were like that. Now he's attacked my pregnant wife and endangered our unborn child. How much more should I take? You think I'm joking today? Chen Shouyi, this family should have fallen apart the first time you hit my mother. She has endured you for 40 years. That was her fate. I, Chen Feng, will never let my wife and daughter live a life worse than an animal's. Unbelievable, you've all turned against me. Mom, your marriage to Dad was your business, and I shouldn't have interfered. But today, he attacked my family. I failed to protect you, and that's on me. Now I have to protect my wife and child. The first step is getting you away from a man who hits women. I don't want my daughter growing up watching her grandmother be humiliated by her grandfather, and I never want her to believe this is how women are supposed to live. His words hit Grandma like a hammer. She trembled, and her numb eyes finally stirred. Dad carefully helped Mom up, held her against his chest, then called the police in front of everyone. That call hit Grandpa like ice water. Most of his swagger vanished, and his pointing hand shook with equal parts rage and fear. In this small town, people believed family shame should stay hidden. Once the police were involved, everything changed. Dad ended the call and whispered to Mom in his arms, "Don't be afraid. I'm taking you to the hospital first." Stop! If you walk out that door, don't ever call me your father again. The moment you kicked my pregnant wife, you stopped being my father. Now you're just Chen Shouyi. Just then, Grandma silently turned and entered the bedroom she shared with Grandpa. A few minutes later, she came out carrying an old canvas bag. Dad's eyes reddened, but he quickly steadied himself and nodded. Okay. Grandpa was stunned. He never imagined that the woman he had beaten and insulted for 40 years, the woman who had submitted all her life, would truly dare to leave. He rushed forward and reached for Grandma's wrist. Zhang Guilan, take one more step and see what happens. The police are almost here. Touch her again, and you'll only make your charges worse. For the first time, Chen Shouyi felt afraid of the son and wife he had always dismissed. He could only watch as Dad supported Mom, and the three of them left the house and climbed into Dad's battered van. Only after they got in the van did Mom recover enough to look around, worried and confused. Feng, where are we going? What about Mom? First the hospital, then a hotel in town. Tomorrow I'll take Mom to the county office to file for divorce. Mom, this is only step 1. Next, we're taking back everything that belongs to you. At the hospital, Mom lay on the bed while an ultrasound probe moved slowly across her stomach. The cold gel made her shiver, and Dad immediately took her hand. The doctor stared at the screen, her face grave. Grandma stood in the corner, gripping her clothes, too afraid to look at either the monitor or Mom. Every second felt endless. The baby's heartbeat is normal, and I don't see an abnormality for now. But the mother suffered a serious impact and severe shock. The pregnancy is unstable, with signs of a threatened miscarriage. She must be admitted immediately and avoid all stress, or she may lose the baby. You're her husband, right? How did this happen? Don't you know a pregnant woman needs extra protection? My father attacked her. What a monster! Did you call the police? Yes. Good. Go complete the admission paperwork. She needs complete bed rest. Dad took the forms to check her in, but Grandma suddenly dropped to her knees. Mom, what are you doing? Get up! I'm sorry. I was useless. I couldn't protect you, and you and the baby suffered because of me. Hit me, curse me. I deserve it. Mom, don't do this. This isn't your fault. Please get up. Dad returned after finishing the paperwork and frowned at the scene. Instead of pulling Grandma up right away, he crouched in front of her. Mom, hurting yourself is the most useless thing you can do. Chen Shouyi has hit you all your life. Are you going to hit yourself now too? You didn't fail Lin Wan. You're both victims. The one who should be kneeling and apologizing is Chen Shouyi. What you need to do now is stop hurting yourself and think clearly. Over these 40 years, what did you give that family? And what did you lose? How much of the money, land, and property in Chen Shouyi's hands should belong to you? Don't you want to take it back openly and rightfully? Grandma stopped crying, her eyes full of confusion. Take it back? She had never considered it. For 40 years, she raised children and ran the home, believing that was simply her fate. She never imagined any of those things belonged to her too. You won't lose a single cent that belongs to you. This isn't only for you. It's for Lin Wan, for me, and for our unborn daughter. I want her to know that a woman's work has value, and patience is not permission to trample her. Taking back what belongs to you is the first step in fighting back. It's time to settle the score. Settle the score! The phrase was unfamiliar, but its power made Grandma's heart tremble. Dad helped her to her feet, seated her in a nearby chair, then spoke gently to Mom. "Rest and protect the baby. Don't worry about anything else. Leave the outside mess to me." Mom nodded. Looking at her husband's profile, she suddenly saw a quiet man wrapped in a steady, dependable strength. That afternoon, the police came to the hospital to take Mom's statement. Dad gave a detailed account as a witness. After hearing everything, the young officer slammed a hand on the table. "This is outrageous. He attacked a pregnant woman that badly? What kind of person does that? Don't worry. We'll handle this seriously." After the police left, Dad received a call from the village head. "Afung, it's Uncle Lee. I heard about your dad. He's always had a temper and he's old now, so don't fight him. Families shouldn't hold grudges overnight. Drop the case and I'll make him apologize to your wife. Then we can put this behind us, okay? Uncle Lee, if your pregnant daughter were lying in this hospital, would you let it go? I won't drop the case. Please tell Chen Shui to meet us tomorrow at 9. If he doesn't show up, we'll handle it through the courts. Eat something. Tomorrow will be a hard fight." The next morning, Dad went alone to the civil affairs office. Mom needed bed rest, and Grandma stayed at the hotel, not yet ready to face him. Chen Shui never appeared, just as Dad expected. So Dad went straight to a law firm in the county seat. On the way, Dad's phone rang nonstop with calls from Chen relatives. The first was his uncle, Chen Shuli. "So you think you're a big man now? You're abandoning your own father over a woman and dragging him to the police. You've disgraced the entire Chen family. Get back here and kneel before your father." "Uncle, where were you when Chen Shoyi kicked my pregnant wife? Where were you while he beat my mother for 40 years? Now you want to talk about family honor? He beat that honor out of this family long ago. This is unforgivable. If you make your mother divorce your father, neither of you will ever be buried in the Chen ancestral plot." "Don't worry. Neither my ashes nor my mother's will ever rest beside a man who beat his wife." "Afeng, how can you treat your father this way? Wrong or not, he's still your father. Without him, you wouldn't exist. A wife should stand by her husband, especially at her age. Divorce now will make everyone laugh. Listen to your aunt and come home. Keeping the family together matters most. My mother is a human being, not his property. If someone hit you every day for decades, would you still say keeping the family together mattered most? That's different. Your father just has a bad temper. A bad temper gives him the right to kick his pregnant daughter-in-law to the ground? If you think men hitting women is normal, we have nothing to discuss. Stay out of my mother's life and my family's business from now on." He hung up, but more relatives immediately called. Everyone told him to keep the peace, accused him of being immature, and claimed his wife had turned him against his father. Somehow, the abuser became the innocent victim. Dad answered them one by one, calm and razor-sharp, tearing their rotten excuses apart and throwing them back. The last call came from an unknown number. It was Chen Jingshan, Grandpa's uncle and the most senior, influential elder in the Chen clan. "I'm your granduncle. I order you to stop this nonsense immediately. Bring your mother and wife home and kneel before your father. Otherwise, I'll erase your name from the family register. Then erase it. I, Chen Feng, leave the Chen clan today. From now on, we go our separate ways. Tell Chen Shuyi I'll see him in court." He knew those words left him no way back and made him a traitor to the entire clan. But he had no regrets. Some rotten roots must be cut away by hand before new branches can grow toward the sun. At the hotel, Grandma was under attack too. Her phone nearly exploded with calls. Relatives who hadn't contacted her in years suddenly accused her of shaming the family and acting disgracefully at her age. Her hands shook, unsure whether to answer. With every call, her face grew paler. Their words were poisoned knives. This was the world she had lived in all her life. Fear and panic swallowed her, and she began wondering if leaving was truly wrong, if she really had disgraced everyone. Just as she was about to break down, the door opened and Dad walked in. "Mom, from today on, don't listen to a word they say. Their voices are chains meant to lock you in that hell forever. Remember one thing, you did nothing wrong. Wanting to live for yourself just once is never wrong. These are the petitions the lawyer prepared. One for divorce and one for division of property. Sign them and we can file with the court immediately." Grandma stared at the official papers, her hands trembling. All her life, she had only known how to write her own name. The most important document she had signed was the family register beside Grandpa's name. Now she had to sign a paper that would separate her from Chen Shui forever. Dad didn't rush her. He simply waited. At last, Grandma looked up, resolve shining in her eyes for the first time. Stroke by stroke, she wrote her name, Zhang Guilan. Those 3 characters seemed to drain a lifetime of strength and begin her real life. "Mr. Chen, Ms. Zhang, I understand what you're asking for. The divorce case should be straightforward. We have the police report and hospital injury records documenting Chen Shoyi's abuse, so the court will likely grant it. The main issue now is dividing the property. My preliminary search shows that Chen Shoyi owns a self-built house, 2 MU of contracted farmland, and a savings account. The house was built during the marriage, so it's marital property and should generally be divided equally. Income from the land is marital property too. The biggest problem is the savings account. It was opened using only Chen Shouyi's ID, so we don't yet know the balance. And I assume he controlled all of the household income over these decades, correct? He never let me touch the money. He gave me only a few hundred yuan a month, not even enough for groceries. That's classic financial control, which is also a form of domestic abuse. The most urgent risk is that he may move the money before trial. Even if we win, recovering it could then be very difficult. Is there any way to stop him? There are two options. First, immediately ask the court to preserve the assets and freeze all known bank accounts in his name, but that requires security and only covers accounts we know about. If he withdraws the cash or moves it into someone else's name, we may still lose it. Second, and most effective, is finding proof that he moved assets or evidence of property we don't know about. Ms. Zhang, think carefully. Did the family ever receive large sums? Did he use other banks, buy anything valuable, or keep records? Any small clue could become a powerful weapon in court. Grandma trembled. Remembering meant ripping open bloody wounds. Those 40 years were a dark swamp. Dad saw her pain and hesitation and took her cold hand. There's no rush. We'll think slowly. If you can't remember, that's okay. Even if we recover nothing, you still have to leave this marriage. I can support you. Dad's words flowed into Grandma's heart like warmth. Looking at her son's determined face, her panic slowly faded. She took a deep breath and searched through the darkness of her memories. Chen Shui worshipped money and watched every cent. He kept a locked metal box he called his retirement money. He had some schooling, could write and keep accounts, and once recorded work points for the village team. He also kept an old black ledger. Whenever the family sold grain or Dad sent money home, he locked the door and wrote in it. At that memory, Grandma felt as if she had grabbed a lifeline. There's a black notebook. He always keeps it locked in the bottom drawer of the nightstand. A ledger, that's direct evidence. We have to get it. We don't have the house keys. Going back now would be walking into a trap, and Chen Shui will never hand it over willingly. I have an idea. Since the police accepted the domestic abuse case, you have the right to return with officers and collect your personal belongings. That's completely lawful. Chen Shui won't dare attack you in front of them, and Ms. Zhang can identify the ledger as her personal property. If we get it, we've won half the case. The plan sounded perfect, but terror filled Grandma's face. She would have to return to the house that had haunted her for 40 years and take his most precious item from his favorite drawer while he watched. She couldn't imagine his eyes on her. She was certain he would kill her. Dad noticed her fear. Attorney Wang, thank you. We need some time to discuss this. Dad then took Grandma from the law office to a quiet tea house and ordered her a cup of hot tea. Mom, don't be afraid. If you don't want to go back, we won't. Forget the ledger and the money. I told you. I can support you. Grandma held the warm cup, hands still shaking. Until she cut ties with Chen Shouyi, she'd remain in his shadow, and her granddaughter would inherit that fear. Her son had broken with the clan for her, and her pregnant daughter-in-law was still hospitalized. She couldn't retreat again. After a lifetime of backing down, she wanted one step forward. Grandma set down the cup. Her hands stopped shaking and she looked up at Dad. Feng, we're going back. I'll get that ledger myself. That was what he owed me and what I owed myself. The police car stopped beneath the old locust tree at the village entrance. Neighbors gathered in little groups, craning their necks and whispering. Dad got out, opened the door, and held out his hand to Grandma. We're here! Grandma's palms were slick with cold sweat. Familiar yet distant faces stared through the window, their pointing and whispers pricking her like needles. She had spent her whole life fearing gossip and shame. Her legs went weak, and she couldn't step out. Dad didn't rush her. Mom, we're not here to be humiliated. We're here to take back your dignity. When Chen Shuyi hit you, did any of those people defend you? When you went hungry and cold, did any of them give you a bowl of food? No. Their gossip is worthless. Your dignity is priceless. When you step out of this car and walk into that house, you're not a frightened victim. You're a fighter collecting a debt. The man who owes you is inside. The law is your weapon, and I've got your back. Dad's voice landed like a drumbeat, breaking apart decades of fear in Grandma's chest. She took a deep breath, gripped his hand, and stepped out of the police car. She did not lower her head. For the first time in decades, she stood tall beneath the villagers' stares. The 200 yards home felt like a lifetime. Her youth, 40 years as a wife and mother, countless nights of abuse, and endless years of despair. At the end of that road, she was returning to the beginning of her own life and starting over. The front door stood ajar. Dad pushed it open. Grandpa sat in the main room with Uncle and Aunt clearly waiting for them. It was an ambush. When he saw the officers, his eyelid twitched, but he quickly composed himself. Rolling 2 walnuts in his palm, he fixed Grandma with a venomous stare. You actually dared to come back? Chen Shouyi, Ms. Zhang Guilan asked us to accompany her while she retrieves her lawful personal belongings. Please cooperate. If you obstruct us, we may take enforcement action for interfering with official duties. Officer, this is all a misunderstanding. Families argue sometimes. It's nothing serious. Sister-in-law, what are you doing? Go home with my brother and stop embarrassing the family. My mother's name is Zhang Guilan. She is not anyone's sister-in-law. She is her own person. She came back for her belongings. Anyone who blocks her is challenging the officers and the law. Fine, you want your things? Go get them. Let's see what in this house belongs to you, Zhang Guilan. I bought your clothes and gave you your jewelry. Every last thing here belongs to me, Chen Shouyi. You should be grateful I'm letting you leave with nothing. She raised your children and ran this household for 40 years. She farmed, raised pigs, and fed chickens for 40 years. Her youth, labor, and entire life went into this family. You say nothing here belongs to her, but half of everything here is hers. We didn't come begging for charity, we came for one ledger. What ledger? I know nothing about it. Stop making up lies and accusing me. Mom, which room is it in? The bottom drawer of the nightstand. Stop! Nobody goes into my room! Grandpa charged forward like a raging animal, shouting as he tried to block them. The officers immediately stepped in and restrained him from both sides. That is my private room. You have no right to enter. This is trespassing. I'll sue all of you. Ms. Zhang Guilan is also a lawful owner of this house. She has the right to enter any room and retrieve her belongings. If you continue resisting, we can take you in right now. The warning calmed Grandpa slightly, but he kept glaring at Dad and Grandma as if he wanted to devour them. Dad helped Grandma into the bedroom. Nothing had changed in decades. The room smelled damp and moldy, the scent she knew best. She once believed she would die and rot there. Today, she had returned to break open her prison herself. Grandma crouched beside the nightstand. A tiny brass lock hung from the bottom drawer, rusted with age. Her heart pounded as she touched it and pulled. It did not budge. The key is with me. No key, no ledger. Too bad, I lost it years ago. That's fine. We don't have a key, but we have hands. Dad turned and left the room. Seconds later, he came back carrying an iron hammer from the pile of tools in the yard. Chen Feng, don't you dare. Break my property and I'll break your legs. Dad ignored him and walked straight to the nightstand. Mom, step back. Grandma backed away. Dad raised the old iron hammer high, its head flashing coldly in the dim room, then brought it down. The lock shattered in one blow. Reaching beneath a pile of junk, he pulled out something tightly wrapped in plastic. It was a black, hardbound ledger. Dad held it up toward Grandpa like a trophy. Mom, you got it back. Grandma took the ledger. It was thin, yet it felt impossibly heavy. Inside were 40 years of sweat, sacrifice, and hard-earned money, the security and courage she would need for the rest of her life. Attorney Wang put on white gloves and carefully opened the ledger as if examining the most important piece of evidence in the case. That bastard. The records were horrifyingly detailed. Every sale of grain, every payment Dad sent home, every pig, chicken, and egg sold, even the few bills Grandma's relatives slipped her during visits. The final pages listed deposit certificate numbers, banks, balances, and purchases for 2 properties. One property was in the county seat, the other in a neighboring city, both hidden under relatives' names. It was blatant concealment and transfer of marital assets. Attorney Wang closed the ledger and exhaled, looking ready for battle. Mr. Chen, Ms. Zhang, we won't just win this case. We'll win decisively. This ledger lets us claim every marital asset, including the 2 hidden properties and all deposits. Because he committed long-term domestic abuse and deliberately concealed assets, we can ask the judge to award him a reduced share, or even make him walk away with nothing. The words "walk away with nothing" made Grandma tremble. She had only wanted a divorce and her rightful share, not to destroy Chen Shouyi. After decades of marriage and habit, part of her still hesitated. Dad saw it immediately. Attorney Wang, our request stays the same. My mother gets her half, not a penny less. His half can remain his. Understood, that is your right and your mercy. Mercy? Dad simply refused to let his mother spend the rest of her life feeling guilty over that man. He wanted a clean break. From that day forward, they would owe each other nothing. By the time they left the law office, evening had fallen. The sunset painted the small county town gold. Dad's phone rang. The hospital. His heart jumped into his throat as he answered. A cheerful nurse spoke on the other end. Is this Mr. Chen Feng? This is the maternity ward. Your wife, Lin Wan, had a follow-up exam this afternoon. Her condition is stable, and the baby's heartbeat is strong. With continued bed rest, she should be fine. Congratulations. Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much. Mom, Lin Wan is safe. The baby made it too. Thank heaven. Thank heaven. She knew the old life was falling apart, while something new was beginning to grow alongside that stubborn little heartbeat. The courtroom was so quiet that the ceiling fan's hum filled the air. Grandma sat at the plaintiff's table with her back straight, fists clenched on her knees until her knuckles turned white. Dad sat beside her, calm and steady, resting one hand over hers in silent support. Across the room, Grandpa wore an awkwardly new formal suit, his hair slicked back as he tried to look confident. But his shifting eyes and trembling mouth betrayed him. Beside him sat the lawyer he had hired, a smooth-looking middle-aged man. Court is now in session. The rules will be read, followed by identity verification. Your Honor, my client's 40-year marriage has always been peaceful and stable. Minor disagreements between spouses are normal. The plaintiff, Ms. Zhang Guilan, is elderly and easily influenced. She requested a divorce only because her son, Chen Feng, pressured her. For selfish reasons, Chen Feng is destroying his parents' marriage and tearing the family apart. The alleged violence is entirely fabricated. During one argument, my client accidentally made physical contact with his daughter-in-law. There was no malicious intent. We asked the court to deny the petition and preserve the family. Counsel for the plaintiff proceed. Your Honor, these are the key exhibits. First, an official report confirming that Chen Shuyi had a violent confrontation with his daughter-in-law Lin Wan, who was 9 months pregnant. Second, the county hospital's diagnosis stating that external force caused complications requiring emergency care. Third, Ms. Lin Wan's hospital records and bills. Counsel, could an accidental touch really send a woman 9 months pregnant into emergency care? Is this what you call a peaceful family? One maintained by hurting a pregnant woman while her husband watches his own wife and unborn child suffer? That's a lie! She's just dramatic. I barely touched her. Your Honor, don't listen to this woman. My son paid her to ruin me. Order in the court. Watch your language, defendant. Disrupt these proceedings again and court officers will remove you. Your Honor, the conflict with his daughter-in-law was only the spark. It exposed 40 years of control and exploitation suffered by Zhang Guilan. Much is difficult to prove after so long, but we found one item that documents Chen Shuyi's brutal financial control and emotional abuse and exposes every secret behind his respectable mask. According to this ledger, the Chen family had 3 main income sources from 1983 to 2023. First, land and farm products brought in about 270,000 yuan. Second, Zhang Guilan earned about 190,000 yuan by raising livestock, keeping chickens, weaving, and other side work. Third, since leaving for work in 1998, their son Chen Feng sent home about 1.1 million yuan. Total household income, 1.56 million yuan. Now let's examine the spending. Over 40 years, Chen Shuyi recorded only 380,000 yuan in household expenses, including construction, daily costs, farm supplies, Chen Feng's schooling, and wedding costs, less than 10,000 a year. Only 3,200 yuan went directly to Zhang Guilan, 80 yuan a year for all her clothes, shoes, and medical care. Income, 1.56 million yuan. Expenses, 380,000. Mr. Chen Shuyi, where did the remaining 1.18 million go? Grandpa collapsed into his chair, his face gray. He could not say a word. Sweat covered his lawyer's forehead as he frantically searched the files, but there was no defense. The evidence was there in black and white. The ledger also reveals where that 1.18 million went. First, in 2015, Chen Shuyi bought an apartment in Happiness Gardens under his nephew's name for 520,000 yuan. That's a lie. I bought that apartment with my own money. Order in the court! Second, in 2018, Chen Shuyi bought a storefront in a neighboring city under another relative's name for 450,000 yuan. Third, using his own identification, he opened 3 fixed-term deposit accounts at 3 banks totaling 210,000 yuan. Every certificate number, bank, and exact balance appears in the ledger. For decades, Chen Shuyi deliberately concealed and transferred marital property. This isn't over! You'll all pay for this! The court rules as follows. During the marriage, Chen Shuyi repeatedly mistreated Zhang Guilan and committed serious misconduct by deliberately concealing and transferring marital property. First, the marriage between Zhang Guilan and Chen Shuyi is dissolved. Second, the marital estate, 2 properties worth 1.38 million yuan and deposits of 210,000 yuan shall be divided. Because of Chen Shuyi's serious misconduct, Zhang Guilan is awarded 70% or 1.113 million yuan. Chen Shuyi receives 30% or 477,000 yuan. Third, the self-built house in Chen Family Village remains with Chen Shuyi, but he must pay Zhang Guilan 100,000 yuan as compensation for her share. Fourth, Chen Shuyi shall bear all related court costs. At last, it was over. As Grandma walked out, her steps felt unsteady. It all seemed like a dream. Feng, is this real? Am I dreaming? Mom, it's real. You earned every bit of this through 40 years of sacrifice. Grandma's tears fell again. This time, they were tears of joy, tears of a new life.